We continue to celebrate the Apollo 11 moon landing anniversary 50 years after two Americans walked on the moon as the world watched. Now, an Oklahoman serves as chief administrator over NASA. But that's not all Oklahoma has contributed to our efforts in space. 2 Works View's Aaron Conrad talked with Jim Bridenstine this afternoon and joins us now with that.
Well, Karen, we covered a lot today. In fact, so much I couldn't include it here. But one of the things that stood out was how our community and the aerospace industry here in Tulsa has helped make our country's space program, including that crucial mission back in 1969, possible.
50 years ago this week, Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin, and Michael Collins hurtled through the unforgiving blackness of space.
Former Oklahoma representative turned chief administrator of NASA, Jim Bridenstine, speaking in Washington, D.C. on the 50th anniversary of the launch of Apollo 11. He sat down with 2 Works for You from Washington to talk about Tulsa and the impact Oklahomans had on this historic day.
As the former executive director of the Tulsa Air and Space Museum, I imagine that this anniversary is something very special for you. Can you tell me what that's like being a part of it?
It really is amazing. And the reason it's important to remember the history here is because it helps us keep an eye on the future. What is the stunning achievement that we are going to accomplish in this era? In my lifetime, what is that stunning achievement that people will remember and celebrate 50 years from now?
Well, Mr. Bridenstine, you're an Oklahoman yourself, and of course you know Oklahoma has a rich aerospace history. We know Tulsans played a role in that Apollo mission. So what can you tell us about how Tulsans contributed to our race to the moon?
So Tulsa specifically built many, if not most, of the external components on the Saturn rockets that took Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin to the moon. And of course, those same Saturn rockets really took 6 missions to the moon. And we had 12 men walk on the moon in that era.
But Bridenstine tells us it didn't stop there. Tulsa aerospace manufacturers contributed to the shuttle program and components for the International Space Station, among other things. Those accomplishments laid out at the Tulsa Air and Space Museum that Bridenstine used to oversee. So what's next as NASA gears up to head back to the moon?
The president has said go sustainably. He has said go with commercial partners, go with international partners, utilize the resources of the moon. But here's the key. The president has said he wants to plant an American flag on Mars. And so ultimately, that is the objective.
Well, and that just sounds wild. The timeline for that, he says, going back to the moon 2024, and he says that Mars mission, hopefully in the mid-2030s. So that is just unbelievable. And the anniversary of the actual Apollo 11 landing and the first steps on the moon, well, of course, is upcoming this Saturday.